I've been thinking a lot about what I want to say today, and it's been really challenging to figure out how to articulate so much information and really get, I think, clarity on what's going to happen next year. And I'm very excited about next year, and I feel like it's not just me. I think it's going to be one of the most powerful and important. Um, it's almost like um, one of these moments in time where everything changes and in a good way, where there's a real serious opportunity to do something new. And we don't get these opportunities that often in history, even though they exist every day, throughout the day, all of the time. But typically, they're more like software updates, meaning, a few individuals make some major changes, do something new. Society notices there's a big shift. They make a lot of money. We've had a lot of that. This is different for me. This is a firmware update. This is the society's going to change majorly. When? Now, right now. And I love being at the center of that um, fulcrum and knowing that I'm just geared for this. I love it. I love change. I like being in the middle of it. And not knowing what's going to happen is the best part in a lot of ways. And I think feeling like I know what my role is in it is even more important. And it takes a lifetime sometimes for some people, but I don't think it has to. I think overnight success can happen very quickly. And it's a matter of figuring out who you are, why you're here, and what you're supposed to do and why. And I know the answer to that. And I did the work. I always do the work. I think the difference this time for me is I don't feel a sense of divide inside myself anymore. It's gone. And I've had the divide my whole life. And it's not part of my daily experience anymore because I trust myself now. And I know what I know to be true is true. I'm not confused. I don't think I ever was. I just think that I allowed my circumstances or my environment to steer me off course. Not in terms of what I did, but in terms of what I thought. I allowed people who don't know what they're talking about, but who are successful to confuse me. And that's done. It's gone. And that gives me a feeling of inner power and purpose and connection. Nobody can take that away. That's hard earned. As gurus and sages ends, which is a divide. So the divide inside myself was seeing the world in two dimensions. Sages, meaning wisdom transmitted. So seeing people as, oh, this person really gets it. They have an access to a collective intelligence and knowing, and they can transmit that. The Michael Singers, people like Deepak Chopra, um, Byron Katie, and all the traditions, Buddhism, Vedic philosophy, the Kabbalah, and many others. There's business books too. Think and Grow Rich, although it's been distorted by our time quite a bit since it was written 1937. And The Go Giver, which I don't think has been distorted, but I think it's been misunderstood. The Go Giver, I think, is profoundly misunderstood piece of wisdom, or the Four Agreements. There's so many of these books that are like wisdom transmissions into the society of truth. And being able to see the difference between that and guru advice, which is marketing. So these are people who figured out how to do something to get something. So they're going to show you how. And I had to get rid of all that stuff. And that was about 2 years ago. And the idea of gurus and sages was to help people understand the difference. I guess to help me, well, I already knew the difference. It was to help me figure out how to explain it. And that's done. I don't need to do that anymore because I don't have to explain anything anymore to anybody. So now, as we move into next year, this new show will be called Rise of the Liberation Mechanics. And that is because it is possible, beyond doubt, for any individual on this planet to access truth inside themselves. That has always been true. And it is possible for any individual who does that to bring that out into the world in the form of a unique creation. That's entrepreneurship. It is possible to bring together people like this to do a firmware update for the world. And we need it now, badly. Have you noticed? Have you noticed the confusion? I think more and more people have noticed what I have always noticed and didn't even want to admit to myself, which is the society is nuts, crazy. And it's because societies are always crazy by definition. And that is the point. And we do not have to live in insanity in our own minds. It's very, very simple. As long as I don't have a divide inside myself where I'm not confused, I'm fine. The issue is when I'm not sure and I'm paying attention to what other people are saying and looking for truth in what they're saying. Now I have a problem, big one, because they don't know what they're talking about. Because if they think what they know to be true is true for me, they're wrong, because that's never actually accurate. What is accurate is every human being knows what's true for themselves only and nobody else. The confusion comes when those things get mixed up. And I understand why I did at times in my life. It was always for me personally. Now, for you, it will be different. There are certain principles around this, of course. For me, you will be different, as all of us are. The confusion was always around money. And for me, the only reason I ever had an issue is because I wanted your money, because I wanted enough money to be able to opt out of the society. That's always been my goal since I was 5 years old. It goes back that long. And I believe something that is not true, which is I need to opt out of the society because there's no place in it for me. And that is true, is I have never had a group. I don't belong to any group. I don't want to belong to any group. I've never wanted to belong to any group. I've never wanted to be part of a group, ever, where I had to compromise on who I am to fit in. I won't. I can't, and I'm not going to. That creates problems. People want familiarity. They want comfort. They want to know, where do you fit? The answer is nowhere. Where do you fit? Well, I'm like, no, you're not. You don't know yourself very well yet. You think you're that, but you're not. And I used to say things like this to people. That doesn't get you money. That doesn't help you make a living. Trust me. So I had to learn to shut my mouth, which is not easy for me to do. So I became good at business development because I couldn't figure out any other way to make a living. Because all the ways I wanted to make a living were they became closed to me. And I'm like, what would my ideal career be? And it would be like journalism, like I want to be somebody asked me when I was in DC years ago trying to figure out how to make it in DC. They're like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, I like to make foreign policy. How's that?" And he just looked at me like I was a total idiot. He ran a war for the CIA. He was in the CIA. He didn't tell me that, but we all knew. He worked for the State Department. This guy Vic. He's like, "You got to work your way up." And I'm like, "They're not going to let me in anyways, so it's not even worth bothering." Um, I like I see Ta-Nehisi Coates and I see Ezra Klein, and I'm like, I could do that, but they wouldn't let me. It's not going to happen. The Atlantic Monthly is not going to hire me to be a columnist. I could though; it'd be good, but it's not going to happen. And that's what I want. I wanted to be a New York Times journalist. Journalism's amazing. It's incredible. People don't even know what it is anymore. I heard one guy on Facebook. He's like, "Thank God Trump got elected because now we don't have the fake news anymore with all the journalists." And I'm like, what are you talking about? So he doesn't understand the difference between a podcast and a paper of record, journalism. He can't tell, he doesn't know the difference. I'm like, wow, that's scary, but true. Like, what am I going to say? Am I going to try to explain this? I did. I've been trying to explain it. It doesn't work. I have no credibility. That's why. This is the point here. I have no credibility because I don't have the attractive character moniker. I remember when Thomas Friedman, I would follow these people like celebrities. Were like my celebrities when I was a teenager. Like I think I was at GW and I'm reading the New York Times and Thomas Friedman gets appointed bureau chief. I don't know if I have these facts right because I can never remember any of the details, which is why people often don't believe me. It's a learning disability. Um, Became bureau chief of the New York Times in Jerusalem. And I'm like, wow, I would love that job. It's not going to happen. I remember I was in DC and I met this guy and I'm like, because I was always asking people, what are you going to do? I couldn't figure it out because no one would have me. Like it was just not going to happen, you know? And I was great at networking though, great at it. Um, and this one guy was like, he's like, well, my mom is she works for, and it was like Atlantic Monthly or Harper's. He's like, so I'm thinking about becoming a journalist. I'm like, how do you do that? He's like, well, it's easy. You got to write and like, I'm from Deerfield near Chicago. I'm like, where are you from? He's like, well, Manhattan. Like, oh, oh, you're an insider. It's a rigged game. I get it now, how it works. I didn't back then. Um, it is a rigged game. That's part of the point I'm trying to make here is how do you win in a rigged game when they have the relationships, they've got the schools, you got to go into their schools, you got to follow their rules, all this stuff. It's very complex. It's really not. But for somebody like me who refuses to compromise, it's impossible. It's never going to happen. I'm not going to rise up in someone else's hierarchy. And that's happening right now on social media because I've been trying, I'm like, I look at the LinkedIn celebrities, the content creator crowd, and I'm like, that's all bullshit to me, all of it. But to them, it's their thing. And if I say anything about it, they're going to hate me and they're going to project out onto me. He's attacking us. No, I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm calling out what I see, which is um, I'm not joining your stupid group. That's what I'm saying. And I say that to everybody. Like, I'm not joining anybody's group. I'm doing it my own way. And then I see people talk about authenticity like a marketing thing. That is hilarious. So I'm going to buy your 7-step course to become authentic, like you. So there's a book by a guy named Eugene Schwartz called Beyond Advertising, which is it's really dated, but it's worth buying. It's like 120 bucks, and that's a whole marketing thing that the person who owns the rights to it figured out, which is great. If you want to really understand how marketing works, these people are really good at it. So I'm reading the book and I'm like, this is absolute genius stuff. It's just dated. It's for direct response marketing, copywriting, to make money. And but Eugene Schwartz was brilliant, and and so I had to rewrite. I rewrote these. So it's called problem on. I won't go through the whole thing. I wrote an article about it. I had started rewriting the book because I'm using the book, and I'm writing all these hooks. Like I did this for like 8 months. And I bought another book by this guy, Todd Brown, E5 or something. I can't remember the names of all these things. So I'm using his book and I'm using Eugene Schwartz's book, and I have this like dashboard of all these books. And then I got this guy, Alex Hormozy, who wrote a book called Offers, and then all the Russell Brunson stuff. I've got it all like laid out, and I'm mapping it. I'm like, how am I going to do this so I can make a ton of money to opt out of this crazy place? It doesn't work like that. I don't want to opt out. I want to make an impact. I thought I wanted to opt out. No, no. I want to change things. That's what I want to do. I want to lead change. Lead change. Play my role. Do my job. It's not an easy one, but it's easy for me because I don't believe any of it. I never have. Meaning the belief systems, the divides, the male, female, up, down, right, left, conservative, progressive, tech billionaire, financial billionaire, whatever kind of, who cares? Spiritual group, not spiritual group. I've never believed in any of those things because I don't belong to groups in my own mind. Never have. I'm uncomfortable in groups, though, often. The more the group think starts, the more I'm reeling and I want out. I want to go away and find some people where we can just talk. But that was hard for me because I wasn't connected to myself enough. So I felt lost, inadequate, and separated. But I didn't know it because I didn't have a deep enough self-awareness. I hadn't done enough of the work. Enough. I've been doing this work since I was 17 years old. I'm not screwed up. It's not that. It's that it takes that long to really master something. It does. It's not the time, it's the noticing. I've been paying attention to how I think, what I notice, and what I see forever. It's what I do. There's a reason for these things. If you can't stop because you have to, that's the right direction. That was my direction. What is real? That's my direction. Inner development, that's my direction. Business development, get out in the market, figure it out. That's my direction. Entrepreneur structures. How the hell do I make a living doing this on my own terms without compromising? That's my direction. How do communities work? Groups. That's my direction. I understand it. I understand it so well, it's hard even to explain what I understand. So I don't anymore. It's too much. I'll overwhelm people. It's just too, I've been told this by confidants. Too much, Larry. Dose it. Slow down. They're not following anymore. You lost them. That's what happens when you know something that well. Why does it matter? Is it about serving me so I get more money out of the economy? No. Am I going to get more money out of the economy? Yeah. 30 million. I already set the target 2 years ago. Like, this is going to be a $30 million company. I know it. an 85% net profit margin because I understand these business models. So I know it. I'm not confused about that. It's going to happen because of the group and the power of the group and because it's a new model. It doesn't use any marketing. That's what's next. Now you know. You can come along or not. So here's the idea. It's very simple. It's if you want to believe in things that aren't true, that you will become happy, satisfied, profit, wrong word, prosperous, get what you want out of life by going to get things from other people, like get money from them, become popular, be liked, learn how to be authentic so you can make money, whatever it is, whatever bullshit story you've taken on is true. You're not for me, and I am not for you. I'm going to trigger the hell out of you. And that's my job. It's to trigger you. So you wake up to what? My way of thinking? No, your way of thinking. You wake up so you can figure out what works for you. How you engage with that is up to you because it's not my thing. It's ours. I'm just in charge of it, created it. But you don't want to see me. You don't want to come into a room where I'm in. And a lot of people don't. Don't. Hang out with people that make you feel good. I'm not going to make you feel good unless you want to know your truth. And then you're going to feel great. That I can help you do. I can help you figure out what your gold is. Your hidden genius. I see genius in every human being I meet. I always have since I was a kid. Every time I meet somebody, I'm like, it's incredible. It's amazing to me. People are amazing to me, but not the bullshit. But that's not them. That's the beliefs. People tell themselves, they limit themselves. Everyone does this, except liberation mechanics, because they're being themselves. So there's slang for this stuff. Original gangster. Why do you think the Black community is thriving right now? Why is all this art coming out of this community and all these traditions, these industries being created of cultural truth? Why? Think about it. In America, I'm talking about the United States of America. What is the secret weapon of the United States of America? It comes from pain. Pain of immigration. That's why the United States is different, because we allowed this. Oh, now I'm really triggering people. I'm doing this on purpose. We must secure our borders. We must. We can't let in Mexican cartels into the United States. The only first responsibility of the US government is to secure the border. How can you have an insecure border? Doing that on purpose too. Let me do it again. We let the Chinese government invade the United States of America. The US government allowed the Chinese government to invade the United States of America and steal our secrets. We let them do it. TikTok. Is that true? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but where's that data going? Who owns that data? Whose watch did that happen on? Oh, let's find somebody to blame. I know. It's the Republicans' fault. Oh, no, I know. It's those evil progressives. It's the Democrats' fault. Whose fault is it? It's our fault. We're lazy. The United States of Americans are lazy. Lazy. I'm making a point. None of that's true. It's not lazy. Some are lazy, some aren't lazy. How did TikTok get in? I'm not an expert in it. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I don't even know if it happened. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not an expert in um, cybersecurity. Why would I even talk about it? I have no idea. That's a hypothesis. It's not true. I don't know. I don't work for the NSA. I've watched TV shows about it. I've read a lot of books about it. That doesn't mean I know anything. They're doing all kinds of stuff we don't know about. I don't even think the president of the United States knows what's going on with what these people are. Patriots, some, and some who aren't, who think they are. I have no idea. That's my point. What do you know about? That's your secret weapon. Forget all the other stuff. Let them opinionate about it. Liberation mechanics is about turning off your own opinion projector first. Forget the firmware update stuff. You're not ready. You're not ready until you do your own work. What does that mean? There's three planes of it. There's an energy plane. Feel it in your body. Just feel the energy. The energy's got to flow through you. That's your work. There's an emotional plane. Feels right, doesn't feel right. Yeah, it's the work. Dealing with that feeling, those feelings, getting deeper into your feelings is important. Not feelings, emotion, the flow of emotion. Feelings is different. Thought. There's a thought plane, creative intelligence. Where do you think all this stuff comes from? All the art. Why is it always the same? I see the same in all of it because two truths can't contradict each other. There's a zeitgeist of creative energy that's just flowing everywhere. We're in it. We are it. There's no separation between us and that creative intelligence. That comes through lots of different ways. Everyone's different in how they absorb that. That's true. That's what's inside you. That's where it is. That's the plane of truth. The emotion is the flowing, knowing this is the right direction, feels right, or stop, look out. I'm so clued into that now because I spent so many years trying to figure out what am I feeling right now? Why am I doing this? All the answers are in this. Where's the big answer, however? It's in each other. That was the big wake up call for me. It's like, oh no, I don't get to just go live in a hut or walk the earth or sit in an ivory tower somewhere. I got to mix it up. It's easy to throw stones when you haven't taken a risk. It's really easy to say, um, boy, that Trump guy, he's terrible. Oh, that Kamala Harris, she's really awful. Oh my God, those people in the healthcare insurance industry, they're just off. Oh my God, these people in technology, they're just ruining every. Have you ever done anything hard? A lot of them are. A lot of them are idiots. A lot of them aren't. They're trying hard. They're stuck in a stupid system. Why did it get created like that? Because people buy shit that's bad. Sometimes that's it. They got to make crappy products because no one will pay for anything decent. It's complex. There's a systems. These are systems. So what's the right answer? You know the right answer. There is no right answer in the world. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Somebody's going to sell you that though. There is no shortage of people and never has been that have an answer for sale. That has always been true. There has also always been people who find themselves and know the answer for themselves and are offering something. And that has also always been true. But the principles never change. The laws and the principles and the mechanisms of reality are the same and have always been and will always be the same. Maybe, who knows? I have no idea. I read all the same books you do. all of them, because I'm not good at anything. So Charlie Munger said that. Warren Buffett's partner who died at 99. He said, "I'm a human learning machine, and it works for." I forget the quote. Doesn't matter. The point is, what works for you, what's right for you, and taking responsibility 100% for yourself, and then realizing you don't have an answer for anybody else. That works too. And then who's going to win in the market right now? The marketers or people who figure themselves out and say, this is what I've got, and construct this in such a way where it works for everybody. I got to go 2 more minutes because I got to end on something that I've been thinking about all year that I want to say. I've said it before, but I want to say it again. Is I can't wait to see the private rooms implode, implode. The pay to play rooms, the $50,000 rooms. I just want to see them like blow up where people just say, I'm not paying for that anymore. Or they open them up to everybody who want to be there. Now, there's certain criteria. Like you want to run in because all the rich people are there and you want their money. There's got to be a way to filter you out. Hidden agenda person. I figured that out. I'm going to filter you out, but I'm not going to do it through a gate with a price. No, you can come for free for 90 days, but we're going to be hard on you. So you run away if you're not real. Now, if you can pay, you have to decide if it's worth it. One thing I will never do. Oh, I know what it is. I remember now. One thing I will never do. This is the one that makes me the angriest. Is this idea of, okay, so you're suffering financially because maybe you got 300K left in your IRA and now you got to be a coach. Maybe that's it. Or maybe you're just broke, or maybe you've never had any money. And then somebody comes to you and says, I got this private room. It's amazing. And if you just pay me this much, you will make 10x. You will make more. You will make it back. And then they're teaching how to convince that person to spend money they shouldn't be spending. God, that pisses me off. And I see people teaching this, and I'm like, what are you doing? The answer is don't pay me. The answer is come to the inner circle for free. However, you got to bring something, because if you come as charity, you're going to fail, because now you've abdicated your responsibility to me or someone who's successful, who knows the answer. You think for you. We don't. Nobody does. If anybody tells you they do, they're not. They're potentially lying to themselves. Potentially they're lying to themselves, or to you, or to you. Um, so I got distracted by a Slack. I have a learning disability around IT stuff, and somebody's giving me a hard time about something, and they're not understanding what I'm trying to say. It's making me frustrated. Anyways, um, it was just business problems. So the best way I can explain this is it's time for anybody who really knows how to do something to find a way to make that accessible to anybody in your market, but you need to get something from that person in the market back. So I figured out a couple of ways where if people can't afford what we've got, you can earn in to the inner secret. There's no inner secret room. I guess that's the point. Is I got distracted by this other problem. That's why I hate these pop-ups, and it's a Slack thing. I can't stand Slack now. I got into it when it first opened, and when they first started, and we built the company communication system on it. And I just don't like it anymore. I like Discord. a lot better, and I don't use their pop-ups. I go in and then I go out. But Slack, I've got to disable the pop-ups. So anyways, all right. Hopefully this was helpful.